Tactacam cameras are the most effective way to film and share your hunt. In this video, we're going to be talking about Tactacam mounting systems. So Tactacam has made mounts so that you can easily film your hunt in almost any situation with a variety of weapons. We're going to be talking about the stabilizer mount, the universal mount, the underscope mount, the clamp mount, the barrel mount, and the bendy clamp mount. Let's start with the stabilizer mount. So here I have the 6.0 stabilizer mount. If you're an archery hunter and you're looking to film your hunt, this is the way to go. It's super simple and built for the 6.0. Now, if you're not using the 6.0 and you're using the Solo Extreme or one of the previous Tactacam cameras, there's a different stabilizer mount, same concept, but different design that you'll want to use. The one on here is the 6.0 stabilizer mount, built specifically for the 6.0. So now I'm going to show you how to attach that and insert your camera. So with your stabilizer mount, you're going to find a couple things. You're going to find the mount itself, and you're going to find a long Allen wrench. So once you have your bow and you know you're going to put your stabilizer mount where your stabilizer goes on your bow, the first thing that you want to do to make it a little easier is actually take your long Allen wrench and put it right through the front here and seat it in the bolt that's in the back of the stabilizer mount. So you have some leverage here. Once you have that, they designed it long enough so you can screw it in. Take your bow, line it up with where your stabilizer goes, and then simply turn your Allen wrench, screw that mount on. When you get it close to tight, what you want to do is turn the mount and make sure that mount is level. So you want the open part facing up. Once it's good and level, just go ahead and hold it and then tighten that bolt down so it's secure. And that's it. Your stabilizer mount's on there. So once you have your stabilizer mount on, all you have to do with your 6.0 camera is take it. This is spring loaded. All you do is set your 6.0 in here, push the spring forward. It'll automatically release back, seal that camera in there, and that's it. This is your 6.0 stabilizer mount. Again, if you're using a Solo Extreme or an older version of the Tactacam camera, you can still use a stabilizer mount, but you'll have to buy the older version of the mount because this mount that I'm using here is specifically made for the 6.0. Next, let's move on to the universal mount. Now, this mount is exactly what it says. It's universal and it has a lot of applications. So here I have it on a standard tripod. It also attaches to most swivel mounts and is great for using it as a secondary angle or placing it somewhere away from you. You know, if you have a camera that you want to put a little ways away on a tripod or next to you, you can use your Tactacam remote to control it remotely. But this universal mount is great and attaches to most swivel mounts. So here's a great example of how the universal mount works. So as you can see, it's got a screw, a tightener screw on the side. If you loosen that up, it'll fold down. You can open it up. You can slide your camera right inside. Just a little tip when you're sliding your cameras into these mounts, you want to make sure that you slide them far enough where you get clearance past your end cap so you can leave your cameras in your mounts and you can still access the battery compartment in your card and you don't have to unclamp it and change the mount out every time. The mounts are easy to change out and easy to swap cameras, but just a little tip to make it a little more efficient, especially if you're leaving your camera in the same mount most of the time. So once your camera's inside, go ahead and flip that back up, tighten the tightening screw down, and your camera's inserted. Now on the bottom, it's got an adapter that will mount to most tripods or most swivel heads or adapters or swivel stands and is great for a secondary angle. Here I just have your standard tripod. It's got a little plate, a little screw that pops out of there. That's what attaches to the top of the tripod. As you can see, it's got the 1/4-inch screw. So I just take the mount, screw this into the bottom, and you could do this with any tripod plate that's got this 1/4-inch screw. Pop it back in here, and that's it. So I have my camera set up on a tripod, can use it as a secondary angle, can use it to film myself, can use it to film anywhere I really want to. So the applications for this universal mount are really endless. Now let me show you a different example using the Tactacam bendy clamp mount. So another use for the universal mount is with the Tactacam bendy clamp. Now, the bendy clamp is one of my favorite mounts. I love to use this in the tree stand as a secondary angle, or on the ground when I'm turkey hunting or waterfowl hunting, really anywhere. So it's got a tight clamp on it. You can open that up. It grips really well to a lot of different things. And the bendy part is great. So as you can see, it's got a lot of flexibility, so it can be versatile. You can do a lot of things with it. But the best part is, unlike a lot of things out there on the market like it, is it's rigid enough to withstand the weight of the camera, and it isn't gonna move when you leave it go. So you can set it up and you don't have to worry about it falling or drooping. It's really designed well to hold up and hold the weight of that camera. So coupled with the universal mount, you already have the camera in it. Simply screw it on to the top here. It also has a tightening dial here. So once you have it screwed all the way on, you can tighten it up. And that's it. Super versatile mount that I love to use in the tree stand, on the ground, wherever you have something to clamp to. This is a great option, especially for a secondary angle. One other way I really like to use the universal mount is with the Tactacam tree peg. This mount has a screw in, so you can screw it in anywhere above you, in a tree. Works really well. So it's got the adapter screw on here. Works perfect with the universal mount. Simply screw it on there, and that's it. Again, screws in the tree, makes for a perfect secondary angle, looking over your shoulder for that shot or looking back at you to capture your reaction. One last thing on the universal mount is that you can use the 6.0 in here, as well as most of the older Tactacam models as well. So it's universal in use and pretty universal when it comes to cameras across the Tactacam line. So the next mount we're going to talk about is the clamp mount. And again, just like it sounds, it's got an adjustable clamp that's great. It'll attach to most gun barrels and also anything else that you want to find that's kind of round or that fits in that clamp. You can tighten it down and you have a mount to put your camera really wherever you want to put it that fits within that clamp. Here I have it mounted to the barrel of my shotgun. Have the camera facing out to capture that perspective. Same way I'm looking down the barrel. So let me show you now how to install this clamp mount. The clamp mount works great with the Tactacam 6.0, as well as the Solo Extreme and most older models of Tactacam camera. Here I'm using the Solo Extreme. So when you take out your clamp mount, the first thing you want to do is it's got two Allen wrench set screws on the top here. You can loosen those up using the smaller included Allen wrench. Insert your camera, tighten those two screws back down, and you have your camera locked solid in place in the mount. Below is the adjustable part, so this is the clamp part. It's got a set screw here, a tightening screw that adjusts the tightness of the clamp. So you're going to go ahead and loosen that up. Allen wrench loosens and tightens that screw. In this case, I'm going to take the shotgun, adjust the clamp where it needs to be so it sits snug. I have it on the bottom of the shotgun so it doesn't get in my way on the top, shooting right down the barrel. Tighten it with the included Allen wrench. And that's it. There's your clamp mount setup. The next mount I'm going to talk about is the underscope mount. This mount will mount right to the pick rail on your gun under your scope. So crossbow, shotgun, muzzleloader, rifle, anything that you really have a pick rail on, you can mount this mount right to it, and it goes under your scope, sits off to the side so it's out of your way, and films, gives you that perspective down the gun. Now, what you want to make sure when you're mounting this is that your camera sits on the opposite side of where you're going to be shooting the gun. So if I'm right-handed, which I am, I want that mount to go out to the right side of my scope as I'm looking down it, so it's out of my way. If you're left-handed, you have the ability to just flip it around and use it the opposite way. So this mount will work with the 6.0 as well as the Solo Extreme and most other Tactacam models as well. I do have on here now the Solo Extreme with the wide angle lens. And as you can see right now, it's pointed down the barrel. The other thing that you could think about doing is flipping this camera around within the mount, especially with the wide angle perspective on it, on the Solo Extreme, and facing it back towards you to capture that reaction and capture you as you're looking down the scope and looking around. So it's, instead of capturing down the barrel, the camera's facing back at you to capture that reaction. So you have a few different options when mounting your underscope mount. Now, let me show you how to install it. Mounting the underscope mount is pretty simple. So the slot where the camera goes, 2 screws on top, just like the mounts from before. Loosen those, insert your camera, tighten those 2 screws back down so your camera's secure. Once you have your camera secure, you'll see this tightening knob. Go ahead and loosen that all the way and actually take it right off. You want to slide this part under your scope. Wherever you want it to sit on your pick rail mount, make sure it's lined up the way that you want it. Simply take the section that you loosened up, screw it back in so it attaches to the other part. Tighten it down. You want to make sure that the ridges are lined up, so there's one on top of the pick rail and one on the bottom of the pick rail. Once you have it tightened down to your pick rail, go ahead and make sure it's solid on there. You shouldn't have any movement. It should be pretty sturdy, and that's it. You have your underscope mount with your camera mounted, and you're ready to go hunt. The last mount we're going to talk about is the barrel mount. And once again, exactly how it sounds. It's a mount that mounts your camera right to the barrel of your gun. So in this case, I have it mounted to a shotgun. This is the 6.0, and I have it facing out down the barrel. You could also face it back towards you or on the side of your gun for a different angle. Let me show you how to install it. Once you have your barrel mount, the first thing you want to do is mount your camera where it needs to be. So same as before, 2 screws, loosen those with the provided Allen wrench, insert your camera. Here I'm using the 6.0. Again, this mount works with most Tactacam cameras. So 6.0, Solo Extreme, or most of the older versions will also work in this barrel mount. Once your camera is secure in there where you want it, tighten those screws back down, you're ready to mount it to your barrel. So the mount has 3 Allen screws on the bottom. You want to loosen those up. Once those are loose, you want to take your gun, fit it to your barrel where you want it to go. I'll loosen this up just a little more here. Once the camera is fit securely on the barrel, facing the way that you want it to face, go ahead and tighten those 3 screws back down using the provided Allen wrench. Once your screws are tightened down, make sure it's secure. Make sure there's no wiggle in it. It's not going anywhere. That's all there is to it. A pretty simple mount, easy to install, with lots of capabilities to it. So as you can see, Tactacam has lots of great mounts that make their cameras even that much more versatile. So whether you're archery hunting with a compound bow or a crossbow, or you're hunting with a shotgun, rifle, muzzleloader, deer hunting, waterfowl hunting, turkey hunting, elk hunting, you name it, there's a mount that's going to allow you to effectively film and share your hunt.